Hello there, and welcome to Divination Detectives. This is our fourth episode, and we are going to dive into a more famous case this time, and we're going to just try to, unlock a few more secrets if we can to the Jack the Ripper case. Okay, a lot of people know about this one. It's been, unsolved for a long time, and it's really interesting because of there's so much mystery, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I just wanted to say there are going to be some graphic descriptions in our podcast today. And this is all for entertainment purposes only. And we also have very much high respect for the dead and everyone involved in these, sad situations. And I think, that's about it. Sorry, Goran. But I'm going to let Goran kind of lead us into the story of Jack the Ripper, some of the evidence that has been linked to him and what we know it to be true. And then we'll start getting into the cards and asking about the things that are a little bit more unclear that, the real evidence and the police back in the day couldn't answer. So it's going to be a lot of fun. What do you think, Goran?
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think this is going to be an interesting episode. We are diving into the heart of Victorian London with this, the dark, the gloomy, the historic. And we are jumping into 1888 on August the 1st, when 31st, my apologies, when the first murder happened and the first victim of Jack the Ripper was Mary Ann Nichols, who was 43 years old at the time. And she was found by a man that lived in the area. She was found alive, though unconscious, sitting on the pavement or laying on the pavement. But she was, warm. The man checked and she was warm and there was no noticeable injuries, which, considering the fact that it was late at night, there is that possibility that he just didn't, see. 30 minutes later, a police officer discovers her body and there are severe injuries. In fact, her neck was cut so deep to the point where she was almost decapitated and she was completely disemboweled, which, however drunk you may be, I think you would still notice that, I guess. So that was one of the bigger things right there, because this murder would have happened within 30 minutes to create such a horrific scene. It definitely takes a lot. After that, we have September 8th of 1888 on 29th Hanbury Street, Annie Chapman, that was 28 years old, and it is literally down the street from Mary Ann's murder. And her position when she was found actually suggested that there was some fighting off the assailant or assailants, because there were defensive wounds on her arms that were found. And she was actually found at 6 a.m., which is also another aspect of how this person or people, Jack the Ripper, were able to do this, because you have to consider that this is early morning where people are commuting to work. So there is a lot of people going back and forth and people getting up, getting ready, and, just heading out. And he was able to commit this murder without anybody seeing anything, hearing anything, or noticing anything. Her history does present her as another one that was a sex worker. She was described as being a drunker or drinker, and she was abandoned by her spouse, which led her to begin sex work. The interesting fact with the second murder of Annie Chapman was that her uterus was removed. And that was actually an indicator for the police at the time that there might be some medical background to whoever did this, because it is very difficult to locate a uterus if you're not knowing where to look. I guess for me personally, not having any medical background, I would be like, where I know the general area, but you don't know exactly where to, cut or do anything to be able to find that. And then after that, there was a little bit of peace, let's say, for more than a month, because from September 8th, there was no murders, no killings, though there were copycats that started up in the area around that time. but nothing official that would be attributed to Jack the Ripper. So the next murder or set of murders, because there was a double event on September 30th of 1888, with the first victim being found at 1 a.m. and her name was Elizabeth Stride. Her body was found with a slit throat, so the same ammo as the first two victims, though it appeared as though the killer wouldn't have had sufficient time to really do all of the mangling that he did to the previous victims, which is actually attributed to the fact that he might have been rushed in some sort of way, or that there was somebody walking by or passing by, so he didn't really get to do the thing that he would normally do with, cutting or disemboweling the person. She was seen earlier in the night by a man walking down a street with a gentleman that had a top hat on, which at that time, a top hat not that very uncommon, I guess. So not a very descriptive thing. A top hat and a mustache. I think that's very Victorian English like. Apparently, this person that she was with was abusive to her, shoving her around, pushing her. And the man that was walking by, the witness, was actually spotted by this man that then yelled out, called a person that showed up from an alley and chased after him, which then gave rise to the assumption that Jack the Ripper may not be a singular person, but maybe a duo or more people working together. The second victim was found 40 minutes later at Mitre Square, and her name was Catherine Eddowes. She was found with her skirt raised above, where it would normally lay, suggesting that there might have been some sort of sexual assault or, some sort of tampering, and her throat was slit per the usual Jack the Ripper ammo. Second victim did get it worse because her entire body, face was mutilated, and her uterus and kidney were removed. And the time frame that is given for both of those mutilations is about 15 minutes. So again, most likely looking at somebody who knows what they're doing, who knows their way around the body. There was a man spotted in the area around the time, of medium height with brown hair and a mustache. Again, not very helpful and not, that much to go off of. After that point, there is another pause from September until November 9th, 1888, which is the last believed murder of Jack the Ripper in 13's Miller's Court. Mary Jane, that was 25 years old, was found. Now, this is the only victim that was not murdered or found on the street, but she was actually found in her own apartment that she was renting by her landlord because she was due for her rent. So there was a person sent to check on to see, she has the money and everything else. And she is actually the one that, in retrospect, had the worst of the worst, because when they did find her, she was mutilated beyond recognition. Like, her face was not like even right on at that point. She had her both breasts removed. One was actually laid beside her. One was actually put under her head. She was positioned in like a weird, almost like a lotus pose as well, and her organs were removed and laid around her body as though on display. There was also accounts of her being skinned to some degree and also cut so deep to the point where literally her muscles and everything was detaching from the bones. So very gruesome, gruesome scene. And that is the brief story of what Jack the Ripper did. So these are the 5 murders believed to be Jack the Ripper. And as I said, there are other murders that did happen at that time, and there is believed to be copycats that took the same ammo, but I guess the profilers never did attribute any of the murders because there was no other precision like that. And this is a very specific profile of person because it was all women, it was all sex workers, and within different age ranges, because we have people from 23, 25, 28 to 43. So there is no specific age, but there is always the aspect of it being a woman and being a sex worker. Yeah.
First of all,
Wowsies.
yes, very gruesome, eh? Like, and just, taking a minute just to kind of send some prayers to those women that
Yes.
had to go through that. That would be so scary and their poor souls.
I
Um,
could not imagine being in that situation. Like literally, that must have been freaking terrifying.
because putting themselves in that situation is already very difficult. And we know, like, back in the day, like, people were just treated horribly. Let's just say that. And these poor women were definitely, yeah, not treated as they should have been.
Exactly.
So, but yes, many questions pop up like when I hear that information. And like you said, like the descriptions and the information they have, it's all very ambiguous
Yeah.
because yeah, everybody wore hats, everybody wore like mustaches, but it was very interesting with some of those close calls because it kind of does indicate that it was the same person and running out of time or being caught. Yeah, so the main questions that I kind of come up with is like, is this person in the medical field? Because, like you said, this is very specific what he's cutting. Obviously, he knows how to like kill somebody with a small knife that they can carry around. Hence the deep neck cuts. So yeah, I would wonder if they are medical and see what they say on that. As you were talking, I did shuffle, and the card I got is like a big hell yes, because I got this Knight of Wands, which
Okay.
to me is like double fire. It's double masculine energy. It's that, very attack mode in this card. It's a honey badger,
Mm-hmm.
which they're just ruthless. They do exactly what they set out to do. And yeah, and it's just actually there's a lot of like reds and orange here too. And it just reminds me of the blood involved and just the brute force and adrenaline and all that fire energy and like psycho energy
Mm-hmm.
that you would need to do this. So linking it to the doctor, I feel like it's like a doctor gone mad.
Okay.
What do
Yeah.
you think?
I would agree. So just to clarify, you think it somebody that has some sort of medical background and it is a man?
Yes,
Because there was also speculations in regards to
in a
could it
man. Yeah,
possibly
double.
a
Yeah,
woman?
definitely a man. Yeah.
Okay. Because
Mhm.
the first card that came up for me was actually Queen of Wands.
Oh,
I
wow.
got the queen.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got the queen jumping out, and I would agree. I believe that it is somebody that has some sort of medical knowledge or anatomical knowledge at least. Though I would maybe go out on a limb and say maybe not a doctor in the traditional sense of like a practicing doctor, but maybe somebody that just had a lot of passion and access to knowledge in regards to anatomy. So whether that be books or somebody that they knew, maybe like a doctor's assistant, something like that.
Okay.
May not necessarily have like a license, is what I'm getting, but that has knowledge, that has access to tools and knowledge or experience in some sort of way, and that was basically doing all of this. I did also just ask, was it a man? And more or less it's a yes. It feels like there is a very, I don't know about you, but I'm also picking up on like a very strong female aspect, like a person that's
Helping?
not necessarily helping, but I would say a man that's not acting on reason, a man that's acting on very uncontrolled, unrefined emotion. Literally being, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like, when you have those episodes where just emotions overtake you, not necessarily, I said, but like not when you go out killing people, like when you just can't control the emotion. Like that aspect of like just being in anger and frustration and guilt and shame and regret, and then just lashing out and not having like that logic filter in front of you. So that's the type of sensation that I'm getting here, like a very strong female energy in that sense, of emotion, like somebody that was very much acting on emotion and not reason. So I kind of want to say it doesn't necessarily seem like this would be premeditated in the aspect of he planned on this and this person, or he did, murder this person because he was having an eye out for them or really thought it through. it literally has that Queen of Wands energy. Like this was very sporadic. Of course, she is organized and everything, but it just feels like I went out with the intention to kill. I didn't have anybody in mind. I just knew that I wanted to do it. And then whenever I got the opportunity, whoever was alone and nobody else around chose that person. I hope that makes sense. That's what I'm getting on my part as far as the information that's coming up.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Like what you were saying, like with the raw emotion, it's like, yeah, very unchecked, very like
Mm-hmm.
bottled up for too
Yeah.
long. If this guy's out in like, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, yeah, he's gonna get somebody who's already out or that's already drunk, or like he's definitely like, yeah, preying on someone in a bad spot.
I just thought about what I wanted to look into. Why did he stop killing? Because we have somebody that committed 5 murders, right? And somebody that has no problem doing that. So why all of a sudden after 5 people just not do it anymore? Or, did he do more murders and he just never was caught? Like, did he switch up his ammo? Did he switch up how he does things? So I'm actually opening up cards for that. Okay, that's interesting. So we have the Ace of Swords, we have the Empress, and we have the Chariot. Interesting cards because to me it sort of feels like a sense of rethinking the game, rethinking the ammo, and sort of I'm eventually going to get caught if I continue doing it in the same way. Like somebody's going to catch me, which I feel like on a couple of occasions there was that possibility. Now we also have the Empress, which to me is sort of pointing towards like a higher up position or somebody that might have some sort of status in society potentially. So there is a risk of like being caught or people finding out to some degree, which there were some theories of, an alleged prince that might be involved with all of this. So that would actually make quite a bit of sense and sort of risking the public shame or public affiliation with that. And then the chariot as the last one, it sort of feels like, which was another theory, it could be somebody that actually just upped and left out of the area. Because I was thinking that of that question because 5 murders, and I'm just connecting like air, water, air, fire, spirit, like the 5 elements. Like, so could have this been ritualistic, which based off of the cards that came up, it doesn't seem to be something that was ritualistic. So it just seems like pure doing it out of malevolence, which we can also check like what was the motive for doing the murders the way that he did. We can do that as the next question, but it seems like they just up and left. What are you getting?
It's, yeah, it feels like an up and left. It's interesting how you mentioned like moving up in society, something like this, because I got this judgment card, and in this depiction, he like leaves his shed skin, and then there's this golden snake going up. And it came with this blossoming abundance. So it's like, yes, he like leveled up in his life, as in like he didn't have time for this anymore, or like his medical, maybe if he was involved in the medical community, he like got his dream job somewhere, or somebody took him under his wing, or even maybe it like upgraded from, oh, you don't have to go kill hookers on the street, like we'll get you some bodies, or that kind of thing, or like, yeah, maybe somebody else like that is involved is kind of like helping him move up or helping him move on. I also got this indecision card, and it's like you were mentioning like him leaving, and this card has these two roads. So it's like, yeah, do I keep going down this road? Like they're kind of on to me. There's probably lots of talk and buzz about it. Like he just probably didn't feel safe to do it anymore. And then he decided to go this other route. But the other route actually came with this happy family reverse card. So even maybe like he went and got married and like had a whole different life. It kind of feels like very like transformational. And yeah, kind of giving up the one thing to go to the other. Not saying he was, all of a sudden, bam, like I'm not a psycho anymore. Maybe this happy family was very unhappy and very weird things happened there. But it definitely feels that, yeah, he just kind of switched out of this dark, London alley type of situation and went a different direction, I would say.
I was thinking marriage too when I saw the Empress. I'm like, it kind of feels like there might have been like a
Mm.
woman involved in the sense of, getting him out of there. So marriage actually makes a lot of sense. So I guess stepping on to the next question.
Yeah. The other question that I asked was about like what was the reason for the like picking the prostitution
Hmm.
the prostitutes, sorry, like why go after them? Like did you have a hate for women in this field? Like what is the energy around these people? What was it, just opportunity because of who they were and nobody cared, they were alone? Like what exactly was it? Or was it like I just really wanted to mutilate women? Like
Yeah.
what's the issue here? So what kind of card I got for that was interesting. I got the Six of Pentacles. So for me, like this is like this equal opportunity. I even feel like him or his accomplice paid the women for their time even and just got them alone, like, as per usual. But then that happens. So it doesn't give me a feeling of like I hate women and I want to mutilate, like I want to prey on these poor people. I just feel like they were the chosen group because of what they do and being out all hours of the night. Who else, what other group would they be able to go after at this point? There's not there's not like a men's book club at 2 a.m. that he's going to go and try to like overtake those people and go after their organs. But yeah, I kind of just feel like it was an opportunity. A lot of the women probably agreed to go with them even. What do you think?
I would 100% agree with that statement. And I just have to say, as you were starting to talk, I started laughing because you said, why choose prostitution? And I'm like, oh my God, imagine if he was like like a dude. I was like, you're taking all my men. I want to do that now. I'm taking your business. That's what I'm killing you. It's dark. It's dark, but like, could you imagine? My mind just went there and I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
that's not good. But I do have to agree with you. It feels like that was sort of the easy target. It was a group that, again, out at all hours of the night, and you would be able to just walk up, give a little cash, and you would have them for whatever amount of time. So I do want to say that there might have been some background with that because I did get the tower in reverse as well, which to me is sort of indicative of unresolved things when it comes to, the prostitution aspect or sex workers. So it could be that this person had somebody in the family, it could be a parent, it could be that they grew up around that, and there was some sort of resentment in regards to that where I feel like you to go out and do something like that, to go out and mutilate somebody to such a degree, to do that to somebody's body, to somebody's person, it feels very passionate. Because even the first card that we pulled, like we both got wands, we both got fire. It feels like there was a lot of passion behind that. It almost feels like, to some degree, could have been a bit of a personal vendetta mixed in with the rest of like just the easy target. But I feel like there is some history to that as well. The experience with the sex workers in general. So, and I'm thinking maybe the next one we could jump into check and see whether or not he operated alone. Was there more than one person involved with Jack the Ripper murders? And let's see what comes up. So for me, the strength card. So we definitely have balance. Ace of Wands. The Empress comes through once again, interestingly enough, and the Wheel of Fortune. But all of these figures, besides strength, are very singular. Like we do have a duality energy with the strength card. So it almost feels like there could have been an accomplice for at least one or two of the murders. So part of the entire murder spree, but more or less, this person seems to be operating on their own, is what I'm getting. What type of energy are you picking up on?
I actually also feel like it was alone because I got the Knight of Cups reversed. So to me, like that's usually someone that like they're not open to others when it's reversed. It's like they're closed off to others. They're very acting again with that fire energy being trapped inside.
Yes.
It feels like that, and it's kind of like steaming, like bubbling under the surface. But if it was upright, I would have said like he invited someone in, but where it's yeah, it does feel very singular. But I wonder if there was somebody like a madam in the sex, like I feel like the sex workers kind of someone there had some kind of idea who it was, but maybe still let it happen, or maybe like I don't know. It feels like there's still like this female energy that knew that kind of pushed others into his path and like to save her own butt or to get paid. And I don't know why that was coming up, but I just was kind of feeling that like when we were talking about the last question
And the Empress came up again. So
and the
that
Empress. Oh, it
might
came
that
again.
again, that
Okay.
competition that I was laughing about before, like, oh, some like you're taking my business now, actually might not be that far-fetched. Might
Yeah,
not be
like
that
if you think
far-fetched.
about it, there's usually like one woman that like moves up in the ranks in prostitution and she's like the madam and she might direct guys where to go and who to go to or kind of like a pimp situation. I feel like there was a woman that she if she went to the police with the information she had, they might have caught him, but obviously she was scared shitless and wouldn't do that or was like trying to save her own ass. Maybe we could pull a card on that because I don't know who, like there's never a mention of a person like this, but I feel like people don't give enough credit to those women that were working there, and yes, they were just very desperate and victims and all of those things, but they were also very street smart
Yeah,
because they had
that's
to survive that. So
mm-hmm. Actually,
I
the
just
cards that come up
go
for
ahead.
me, it
Mhm.
definitely feels like there could have been some sort of knowledge, information in regards to the identity of who it was, but due to fear for personal security, it comes across as though this person would have stayed silent, which makes perfect sense. You know, I'm scared for my life and I don't know what you're capable of doing. Well, I actually very well know what you're capable of doing, you know, mutilation, disembodiment, shit like that. So it definitely feels like there was a sense of personal fear. Now, with the Page of Pentacles in reverse, it almost feels like, and the Nine of Pentacles in reverse as well, there could have been some sort of monetary thing involved as well with that entire
Definitely.
aspect and sort of the potential of losing money or being offered money if there is some sort of silence. Because if there was a madam type situation and some of these women worked under this other person, she would be very aware, like, oh, this person's gone missing or has been murdered here. This person has, you know, been harmed here and such and such and such. So I feel like there would be some sort of information that would be, you know, floating around that was covered. Because you also have the Two of Swords bopping through. So a decision was
Mm,
made, and the Two of Swords is a blindfolded person. Now,
mm,
they very well have the ability to take off that blindfold, cut it off with the sword, or just put the swords down and take the blindfold off by hand. But it shows defensiveness, a sense of I'm protecting myself. So yeah, I think that there was a person like that that did have information that was covering shit up. Yeah.
Look at the card. Look at the cards I got. I got this coin, this golden coin, and this
Mm-hmm.
message in a bottle. So it's like they bottled up their message for money. They kept it secure. They kept it sealed. Yeah, she could have someone could have I don't feel like it might not have been a witness because I feel like he would have took her out too, but like you said, just someone with knowledge, someone knows what's going on. maybe giving him the girls, that sort of thing. So it's like, did he work alone? I think yes, but I do feel like there was someone in the streets that he was paying to help in that kind of sense, to keep information down,
Yeah.
to get him the right people, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And we also have that aspect that we mentioned before, because I know you have some names, and maybe we should jump into
Mm,
that, like one or two names that we have on the
yeah.
list, and just check what we get. Because there is an extensive list, so I don't think we need to do too many, but just to get the vibe of why they would even be related, or if there is any sort of confirmation. But I know that there was, a more famous person, or you could say like somebody of higher stature in the society that was brought up as a suspect. And that would also make sense if somebody with, some sort of statue within society would be caught or seen or be known that they are doing this. People could benefit from that. If they have stature, they have money. And if they have
Hmm.
money, they can pay off, any sort of evidence or information to just simply go away. So that actually makes a lot of sense of somebody staying quiet. But with presence in society, money in society, at that time in particular, also comes power and influence. So
Hmm.
this person being defensive in also is also being like, oh, they can fuck up this entire thing that I have going on. So I better keep my mouth shut, maybe get a little bit of money, and it's a
Yeah.
win-win situation.
Hmm. Yeah. That feels
Hmm.
correct to me. Okay.
Yeah. What was the name that you wanted to check into? I know you were talking
So
about.
there was this Cartwright, okay, who was apparently an American medical student in the area at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I heard on one of the, things we were looking into, the evidence, one of the pieces of evidence allegedly is that he was actually saying at the school that he could get a hold of dead bodies. And someone reported that to the police, saying they heard this Cartwright student saying that, hey, like I can get people.
Hmm.
But again, like this doesn't mean it was Jack the Ripper, because you could like people rob graves and sold the bodies. They
True.
could murder just, regularly, or like
Yes.
who knows? So anyway, I would like to check and see if Cartwright was involved.
Temperance, Five of Cups in reverse, then Three of Wands. That has, it is actually leaning more towards yes, in like shady business, but actually more like a no in regards to this being Jack the Ripper. Like he was doing shady shit on the side, yes. And we have some less than ethical and moral practices that were going on with this person, but I am not getting necessarily a full on yes for this person as Jack the
Same. I
Ripper.
got there's something better, it says.
Mm-hmm.
So there is something better, suggesting that yeah, I think he was up to some shady stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so then the other person was, there was a prince at the time who, like you said, high in society, money, time, weird situations with women. I feel like he could be involved, just monetarily, or with the gruesome murders. So let's
Mm-hmm.
just ask those questions, like was he involved at all and how?
Okay, I pulled the cards. I pulled the cards. And immediately we have the world card jumping up. We have the tower card jumping up, which to me, Major Arcana is most always a yes, especially when it's popping up upright. And we have the King of Pentacles as well jumping up, somebody with money, somebody with power. And we had King of Pentacles jump out a couple of times beforehand, and particularly on my end. So I do feel like there is involvement with these murders, considering the fact that we did kind of get a presence of maybe somebody being around. I would say that I'm getting more of a involvement aspect rather than actually him being the murderer. I'm getting more of a sense he either watched, observed, because it was like entertaining to him, rather than actually doing the cutting, doing the murdering and mangling the bodies.
But do you think he maybe wanted the pieces that he took? Because I got a yes that he's involved.
I think that he
But I feel
probably
like he's a sicko. Like maybe he wants a
like
uterus.
those
Maybe he wants intestines.
like those body parts floating around in
Yeah.
jars type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Hmm.
Ooh, and maybe that this Ripper guy was hired to do it. Like the person was hired. Or let's look into that. Like, was it actually this, what's his name? Prince Albert?
Hmm.
Let's see if it was him. And then like if he did it physically or if he was like just benefit like or if he like basically ordered it. Ooh, it's so
Okay,
creepy.
that's a good question. Let's see.
Did he order it or did he do it?
Okay. So another strong female energy. We
Hmm.
have the high priestess this time jumping out.
Okay.
I don't think he did it because I have the five of cups.
No.
Then we have the five of pentacles, both in reverse. Then we have the moon in reverse. And at the end, we have the high priestess. I do believe that he was an observer or somebody that would have ordered this because the five of pentacles is indicative to me of some sort of transaction to some degree. Um, and it almost feels like he would have put somebody up to that or made like a pact or something with somebody to actually go out and do this, but it does not seem to be him physically doing the act of murdering and taking those lives. It feels like he like the entire image that I'm getting is very emotional of almost like this is doing something for me. This is like filling some sort of void, something emotional where it's like making me almost excited to see, to know that this is happening. Like a very sick feeling of I'm fulfilled by seeing murder. What are you getting?
So the card that I got was like this tower, and it's about order and bureaucracy and politics. So yeah, I feel like I just don't know. It's like a chicken and egg situation. Like, did the Ripper like offer this to him, or did he go to the Ripper and say, like, this is my sick fantasy, like, can you do this? You know? But it does feel like it was like planned, it was structured in a way that this guy of high standing, possibly this prince, was yeah, not gonna be like yeah, he wanted to be in the background. He wanted to like facilitate it. It feels like he like yeah, had the vision and then this guy or this medical somewhat knowledgeable of in medical went out and did it for him. But yeah, sometimes I feel like he could have been there on some of the murders, and then some of them, I feel like he just like took him the body parts. Because I also got this like tram. It's like traveling them back and forth. And it just feels like he was involved, but also removed at the same time. And then all of this frenzy about the like when it was the cops were digging into it and trying to get into that, I feel like he was able, like all this snow, right? He was able to just be cold, like not even be mentioned. Because I don't even think this Prince was on the radar till like long after. I think at the time they were looking at butchers, they were looking at different like, men that were in the area with prostitutes, but I don't think they really at the time linked it to any of these, higher ups. And I think it was like more of after the fact, looking back at it, people were linking it to these people with money. But at the time, he was like a ghost.
Yeah, because the first suspect was, I think they called him like Leather Apron or something. He was eventually dismissed because he was away from the city at the time of, I think, the third and the fourth murder and the fifth one. So he was taken off the list. I have a question, and I think we can conclude with that one because I think we have a winner here. I just pulled something very randomly. I asked
Okay.
what was the connection between the prince and the person who actually physically committed the murders? Like, what was that arrangement when you said like who asked who or like who suggested it? I shit you not. I joked about this, like being jealous of like the hookers and shit like that. This is the shit that I got.
Mhm.
I got the fucking lovers in here.
My
I
gosh.
think in I
Mhm.
think we have a gay couple that went on a murder spree. Or like
Okay.
lovers
Okay.
that went on a murder spree. There was some sort of partnership there. Like whether they like did that once or like did that continuously, but there was some sort of like sick fantasy with that and a partnership, which is why I feel like a lot of the information is so confusing. Even the cards sometimes a bit confusing because you have this like upper statue and like being known and being seen, being respected within society, and then almost like the sense of somebody that can really easily fly under the radar. And that actually I think makes a lot
Mm,
of sense with being two people where one is actually doing the murdering, the other one is almost like a mastermind behind that and sort of covering up the tracks. So still think it's like one person that's actually doing the
yeah.
physical act of slashing, dicing, and mangling people. But I think two people that kind of went into that and knew about what was going on and sort of planned it out because we have the seven of pentacles, so it's almost like somebody was waiting for this, somebody wanted to do this but either didn't have the courage, didn't
Mhm.
know how to go about it. And then after that we have the five of uh swords, which to me is like there was some sort of meeting and all pretense was dropped. Like I wanted to kind of want to, murder sex workers. Like that's what I want to do with my life. And then this other person's like, heck yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Let's go out for a mucky fuck and then let's go kill somebody. Because
Imagine.
yeah. And then all of that ending with the Eight of Swords, like being unleashed, like all of your deepest, darkest desires in regards to that, like being unleashed. And I think it was a murder thing for one of the people. I think probably the murdering person that was doing the slashing, like just the act itself. But I think the aspect of taking pieces, bits and bobs of the mangled bodies, it almost feels like what you said, like almost trophies for the other person that was either observing
Mhm.
or watching or whatever.
I think that's a great conclusion. I like that theory a lot because it makes sense. It also makes sense what we were talking about, like if the person, either Jack or this Prince guy, I feel like we could Google and see if the Prince got married after 1888.
Yes.
But I mean, obviously, Jack, we don't know his identity, but it could have, yeah, really put a kibosh to like all of their shenanigans. And maybe he realized, like, oh, like I'm gonna be a duke someday or a prince or a king
Mhm.
someday. Like, something happened there. But yeah, I'm gonna look that up afterwards and maybe I'll put it in the notes or something, just like, hey, PS, like so and so prince whoever got married whenever, because I feel like that might tie into like why they stopped. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense kind of if they were lovers too, because it just adds to all that extra pent up hatred for themselves, shame, guilt, like all of the rage that they can't be together and being born in the wrong time and all of these things. Like, yeah, it could
Mhm.
definitely turn into like a murdering spree.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think we
Interesting.
can, if you're listening to this, check the description below because we are definitely going to
Hmm.
be looking that up just to see what comes up as far as that goes. And we will put it down in the description below for, just to have a confirmation. Like, did some sort of marriage happen afterwards? Because it makes sense if, he would get married because of status or politics or whatever, and him having
Yeah,
to
arranged
end.
marriage.
Particularly, we
Mm,
also, I think, have to watch out if there was any moves, like if he got married and he moved as well, if we can
yeah.
find any information on that. So check the description below for that. And also leave us
Yeah.
a review, leave us a comment, tell us what you think. Tell us your theories. What do you think happened? Who's Jack the Ripper? Do you have a person in mind? Do you have somebody that you think could have done this? Does our theory make sense? Or do we sound like two wackos that are about to go on a murder spree ourselves? I do actually genuinely think they could possibly be like, forbidden lovers or some sort of shit that's like twisted and like very psychotic that just went
Mm,
into and tapped into their darkest urges and just went on a murder spree.
Yeah,
I guess,
could be.
yeah, I guess with that, we are gonna leave you for now.
Mhm.
Check our social media as well. We are our profiles for myself is Tower Shuffle and Alex. Do you want to let people know where people can find you online?
I'm on Facebook, Guiding Tarot with Alexandra, and Instagram, guiding_tarot. And click
Perfect.
on check my I have a website set up for readings on either platform. You can access it there. Always open for questions and ideas for the podcast. So yeah,
Yeah, sounds perfect. All the links will be down below. And until next time, stay safe, go out in the
thank
middle of the
you.
night, and avoid Jack the Ripper. Bye.
Bye.